This is the Uncommon Success Podcast, where we explore topics about success and dive into the stories of leaders who found success along the way.
And success isn't easy. It takes some grit, a little bit of luck, and a whole lot of patience.
We know that success comes in many shapes and sizes, and we're exploring them all.
So get ready for a journey through the remarkable stories of individuals who face challenges head on and learn many lessons along the way.
From business moguls to artists, educators to industry leaders, entrepreneurs to athletes. If it's an uncommon success story, we'll cover it.
The Uncommon Success Podcast. Real stories, real people, real success. This episode is brought to you by B Lane Printed Apparel and Ridgeline Publishing. Are you looking for great custom apparel that will set your organization apart from everyone else? You need B Lane Printed Apparel, where passion meets quality. At B Lane, they go beyond just printing. They bring your brand to life. From eye-catching hats to shirts that redefine comfort, they've got it all covered. Quality materials, quality water-based inks, quality service, because you deserve the best. Visit blane.com now and let your imagination run wild. That's BALANE.com. Don't just wear apparel, wear quality. Your journey begins at blane.com.
That's right, and I'm excited to be talking to you about Ridgeline Publishing, where imagination meets innovation. Are you an aspiring author to tell a story and haven't done that yet? Maybe you've been trying to publish your book for a long time, but you just need that extra support and accountability to make it a reality. Their expert publishing consultation services guide you through the journey of bringing your words to life. From Amazon publishing services to captivating cover designs, meticulous editing, and stunning illustrations, they've got it covered. They even offer author coaching services to help you have the extra level of guidance and accountability you need. Imagine the thrill of having your book in the hands of eager readers. Ridgeline Publishing makes that dream a reality. Visit ridgelinepublishing.com to begin your journey toward becoming an author. Ridgeline Publishing, where every page turns into possibilities.
But before we get started, we want to welcome each and every one of you to episode number 2 of the Uncommon Success Podcast. I want to thank everybody out there for either watching or listening to this podcast.
Yeah, welcome to all of our community for tuning in today. I'm your host, Andy Coates, and I'm joined by my Keep You On Your Toes co-host over here, Miss Brinly Foxall.
Yes, and we are excited, so excited about this. We are welcoming our special guest here today. He's the Superintendent for Calvary Baptist Academy, the infamous Chad McDowell.
In the studio with us,
we need like some claps for that.
I don't know about all that. I'm glad to be here.
Chad is a graduate of LSUS. He graduated in May of 1996, played basketball for 4 years at LSUS, and chose to get into education, wanting to become a head boys basketball coach. From 1996 to 97, he was a teacher and assistant girls basketball coach for Southwood High School. Then from 97 to 2001, a teacher and the boys head basketball coach at C.E. Byrd High School. 2001 to 2003, back to Southwood, where he became a teacher and the boys head basketball coach. Then from 2003 to 2012, he was the men's basketball head coach at LSUS, where he revamped the program from scratch that had been dormant for 4 years. Then from 2012 to 2016 was the athletic director for LSUS. And then in 2016, he became the superintendent at Calvary Baptist Academy, where he still is employed there somehow. Chad's still on staff there at Calvary.
Yeah.
I'm doing so good. And we're so excited to have you as our first guest. And last week we promised all of our listeners that you had all of the answers to success. They're going to walk away fully successful. Is that accurate?
I don't know how accurate that is. In fact, I'm afraid it's not true at all.
Chad,
but
look, I'm sorry. You got to watch out for this one. She is a little bit wild and crazy sometimes. She made me promise a lot of things last week I didn't want to release to our audience. So you never know what she might say.
You never know.
Over here.
My goal is that the show continues on and y'all have another guest and people don't just decide not to tune in anymore after this.
I'm sure it'll be just fine. We're excited to have you, though, Chad, and we're going to dive a little deeper into your story here in a little bit. But first, I want to just discuss a little bit. You guys are fresh off of a football state championship just a month ago. I was really worried when I asked you to be the guest for this first episode
Yeah.
whether or not you'd have a voice back.
Well, Barely. I had a speech therapist send me a gallon of jug water, for my voice rehab or therapy or whatever from all the yelling of the get you sums and the yee-yees. And, it was exciting. If you haven't heard, I don't know how you would miss the fact that we won the 2023 state championship in football. Multiple media outlets, but shout out to Roy Lang. I think people may think he's on staff with us because it seemed like every day he had a new story kind of summarizing the year. But just a storybook ending, a fairy tale ending to say that it was bleak, that we were going to win the game is an understatement. When I tell you everything, I've been watching it, coaching it, playing it all my life, and I'm going to say it was bleak, but everything that had to happen did. And to cap off a 14-0 undefeated state championship season, we had about a 30-yard touchdown pass with 18 seconds left to go.
Wow.
The best friends, you couldn't have scripted that any better. Abram Wardell to KT Thomas, and I still get chills talking about it when you just think about the eruption from the crowd, and you're looking up there, and my wife's not a big hugging person, and don't touch me it's kind of her MO, and she told me I think I gave a hug to like a dozen people that I have no idea who they are. And I was like, well, you've arrived that high moment when Jim McDowell's just hugging people's neck and everything else. So
that's awesome.
Just exciting, man.
That's so exciting. They're going to make a movie about it one day.
Yeah, I've told people it could be a movie. There's so many little narratives within the whole season, different coaches and the players, and it's really neat. That we had broken bones, kids playing with broken bones and knees taped together, and Heath Gross, he's a senior. The senior class, is just impressed. We have 14 seniors, and the game, they say at halftime, looked like an emergency room. The training room did. They had IVs going, and our middle linebacker, his helmet came off in the middle of a play, and he got cleated in the eye, and gashed his eyelid, his nose. He's a 4.0 student, and so at halftime, literally, with blood just going down his face, he was presented with his Scholastic Award.
Wow.
And so he goes there, and they're trying to see if they can stitch him up and get the blood to stop. And his dad came down out of the stands. Robbie Gross went back there and said, "How are you?" He said, "I'm playing." And he turned around and said, "He's good, coach," and he left. And the whole time he couldn't get the blood to stop, but there was nothing that was going to keep him off the field.
Yeah.
Just exciting. The whole week, you can't put it into words
that's awesome.
How good it was for our community.
That's cool.
That is so cool. I feel like as you're telling the story, I can feel the pain. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about the team and
Well, like I say, it was a senior-laden team as far as the leadership. And there's 14 of them, 9 of them that played significant minutes, and so, but we got a lot of great players coming back, and Abram Wardell is a junior. Fortunately, we have him back next year. It was just our year. I say our year. I didn't play us down. I didn't call a play or anything, but I'm gonna try to jump on that bandwagon with them and say it was our year. So.
Well, we know
and coaches.
Yeah, I would say those athletes are great, but tell us about the coaching staff that you have there.
Man, I anytime people ask me, I'm going to my computer because I'm just going to call off these 13 names if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Rodney Ewan, Mark Miller, John Bachman Jr., James Wilkerson, Dr. Bob Martin, Stephen Jeter, Jason Tibbett, Marvin Williams, Devin Washington, DeMarlon White, Tracy Lovett, Peyton Massey, and then with film and just doing all the stuff that people may not want to do, Clint Hortman. So just a staff, and those are the official coaches. There's too many to name unofficial coaches that were in the stands telling them what they weren't doing correctly.
All the mamas who are giving their insight.
Yeah, mamas and daddies mostly. Daddies that knew a little bit better than these guys. Of course, everything rises and falls on leadership, and with Coach Rodney Ewan at the helm, we're in good hands. There is literally, he's a great football coach, but even a better man and better friend. So I was happy for those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great group of men.
Sounds like just a life-changing, life-impactful experience for everyone involved. But if you had to pick like your biggest takeaway from this experience, which if it's even possible, what would you say it is?
It would be just the community, the spirit, and the family atmosphere, specifically the whole week, from the send-off down I-49 and Burt Coons. And I mean, I don't know of another team that had the kind of pep rally that we had in the hotel. They had gotten the big conference room. It was standing room only. In fact, there was overflow because you couldn't fit everybody in. And it was just a pep rally the night before the game, and then the morning of waking up, and just all the lead up to it was just meant to be. And so my biggest takeaway, I don't know, just the how close knit or how great of a community Calvary is and has become.
You know, it sounds like these students and coaches and fans were all such a big part of all that coming together as far as building that community. And for us, part of our community that we're developing, you probably know this being a superintendent, that sometimes you get, you know, all kinds of feedback from people, whether you want it or not.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
But each week we're gonna read a few comments from the past week's episode and just kind of dive into those a little bit. Feel free to jump in with us. We're gonna just kind of see what our community does have to say. Okay. And so Brinly got to read some comments this week. What you got for us?
Okay, we have one from Hannah. She says that she can't wait to be inspired by future guests, which were already inspired, and hear more from Andy and Brinly. Emphasis on Brinly. She didn't say that, but I could feel through the comment that she had an emphasis on that last name.
She may even put it in italics. Is it?
I
You
mean,
don't have to show it to him. She italicized
it's probably
your
bolded,
name
but
or-
maybe
there
like
you go.
it just kind of, when you go on YouTube, it doesn't show it, but she did.
It's possible you might be reading into that just a little bit, but who knows? Yeah, we are excited about the guests that will be coming on. You know, Chad joining us, and if you are a Patreon member, we will be releasing the month's guest. So, encourage you to jump on to our Patreon, and you'll be able to know who is to come for as far as guests go. But we're excited about the lineup that we have.
We have Paul that said, I enjoyed the podcast and not only kept my attention, but I look forward to next week's offering. Incredibly easy to listen to. Thank you, Paul. Very nice.
That is nice.
So nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope he has the same thing to say. Next week, Paul, I need you to comment, and if you'll give me the same kind of positive comment, then I might bring you some donuts or
look,
put a
Oh,
check
wow.
in the
He's
mail.
going to be like, for
if
sure.
Brinly and I are easy to listen to, I'm sure that you joining the podcast will be nothing but helpful.
I don't know.
But we'll find out. He'll probably let us know.
That's right.
I love it. Okay, and then we have one more from Rusty. Living in your purpose is such a great format for success. So I think that's exciting, just having you come and talk about purpose through all the things that you're doing and through your life.
And we're going to be jumping in here in just a moment to hearing your story a little bit, Chad, as we dive into some background. I'm excited to hear about Calvary, their most recent success that they've had. But we want to dive in, just get a little backstory about you here in a moment. Before we do that, Brinly, why don't you tell us a little bit about Calvary Baptist Academy?
All right. I'm excited to talk about Calvary Baptist Academy, a trusted K-12 Christian school for over 50 years. As a fully accredited school, they provide a Christ-centered environment emphasizing academics, daily Bible classes, and dynamic worship services. With top-notch athletic facilities and quality training, your child will thrive in both academics and sports. As an equal opportunity educational agency, they are committed to your child's success in every area of life. That's why their teachers and staff are some of the best from around the area. In 1970, Calvary Baptist Church launched the school with a mission to connect people to Christ for life. And for over 5 decades, they've continued this tradition. Make sure you visit their website at www.calvarycavaliers.org or give them a call at 318-687-4923. Enroll today and experience the family culture of Calvary Baptist Academy, where education meets transformation.
I tell you what, she did good, but I didn't catch all of that. Would you read that again, please? No, I'm just.
One more time, right?
One more time. One more time.
We can do that after the podcast.
We can. We can.
We got some red and blue blood that runs deep in that family. So
We do.
I'll tell you what, we can
She
clip
did
that
good.
one part out for you and just send that to you, and you guys can run that.
please do.
You know?
Please do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll-
A little backstory. My kids go to one of their rival schools, so
Yeah.
they're gonna love my ad read. But it's true. Calvary is amazing.
Well, that's who we're going to send it to. We're going to send it to the rivalry school that your kids go to.
Which is a great place as well.
I love it. Well, Chad, I know Andy gave us a little bio, but can you tell us a little bit more about you? Maybe your background, what you do. We talked a lot about that, but your family, just whatever you want to emphasize that maybe hasn't already been.
I'm married to Jennifer, who is a CE Bird graduate. We were talking
All
about
right.
where you went to high school, and she's a Bird graduate. And but we've been together for 30 years. I know the bald head may give my age away a little bit, Andy.
I'm not making any comments about being bald. I don't need any more balding happening. So
We've been married for 25 years. We have 3 kids. Martin will be 21 years of age in a couple of weeks, and he's a sophomore at ETBU. Wants to be a CRNA, and will be at some point. He'll achieve that goal. And Molly is a 19-year-old freshman at Louisiana Tech, and she wants to be a nurse practitioner. So both of them are going that route. And then Megan, our youngest child, is a sophomore at Calvary. And kind of, each one of them have their own personalities. And Megan's always been my ride along or my sidekick, the youngest, the baby of the family. So, but they're my everything. I mean, with there would be no coaching success, no leadership success, if that's what people would describe my tenure at Calvary or any kind of coaching teams without a great family and a great wife. So public school product, grew up in Southern Hills, went to Forest Hill, Ridgewood, and I'm a Southwood graduate myself, and way back when. And so then I went into the coaching route.
All right, Chad, so today we're talking about the power of vision. Vision, by definition, is the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. So, man, we would just love your perspective a little bit on this. Why is vision so important to an organization, a business, a team? Why do you think vision matters?
Just in day-to-day terms, for leaders, I mean, vision's a big part of it. You got to know where you're going. You got to be able to communicate that vision, have an action plan there. Otherwise, what are we doing? People on the team be asking, what are we doing here? So there's got to be an end goal. You got to know what that vision is. You got to be able to cast it, and then you got to put the action plan into place.
It's so good. Well, I'd love for you to take us back a little bit. We're going to rewind a little bit and find more about your story. So let's kind of walk through your timeline. If we can start through growing up, if you had to just pinpoint something that really shaped you as a kid, as a teenager, what things come to mind?
Well, my dad. My dad is instrumental in everything that I've become. He was my ball coach, and that ball was life growing up, and doing your best. Mm-hmm. It really didn't matter what the scoreboard says. So, I think back to my childhood, and it revolved around playing football, basketball, baseball, and if those weren't available, we could go play tennis or golf or anything, but just competing. And then when it came from my brain, my dad just expected our best, my mom and my dad. And so that's kind of what I've held on to. And then my brother was a key part of that. I have a brother and a sister, a brother that's a pilot with Southwest Airlines, and a sister that lives here locally. My brother was a great role model for me, just a great upbringing with parents that love me with everything they have. I feel sorry for people that don't have that, in today's world. It seems like it's coming more and more prevalent that they don't, and the single parents do the best they can. There's no knock on that, but I had a great childhood.
It's so special.
So
You talked a lot about sports being a big part of your childhood, but going into coaching, what led you that direction?
I think back on it, you know, and I don't know the defining moment where I said, I'm going to coach. Crazy enough, if you ever see me on Facebook and trying to do cartwheels at the age 50 and yell, get you some. And my behavior is not that of a 50-year-old sometimes. So, but it would make you laugh when you hear that I spent a semester thinking I wanted to be an accountant, CPA.
That's exciting.
I could not be in closed walls longer than. I mean, this is hard here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm ready to bounce off the walls. But at some point while I was playing at LSUS, I knew I wanted to coach, and I really was set on being a high school basketball coach. And summers off, you know, it was a mindset when I was 21, you know, or 20, 21 years of age. I was thinking, it's not a bad schedule. I could coach high school basketball and do that. So I just decided I wanted to coach. And then once I took over at Byrd, I was 24, 25 years of age. And again, thought that Miss Fitzgerald was absolutely crazy for hiring me. Her and Alan Carter. And I'm forever grateful and indebted to them for, you know, I remember telling her, you talk about great leaders. I remember telling her, thank you for giving me a chance. She said, I don't give people chances. I give them an opportunity. I wouldn't take a chance on you. I'm giving you opportunity.
So
Do you think a
good.
lot of that was because of the background and just being in athletics that you saw like good coaches investing in you, therefore
do.
you wanted to pour back into
I do.
others as well?
I do. I had great coaches, and you learn so much from people. And when you see, I mean, my dad was a coach of youth sports, and you just pull the positives and the negatives. You learn what not to do, and what you would do differently, and it was a neat to say, man, I can do this. I think I can excel at this, and I think I can make a difference and win.
Well, I'm going to change topics just a little bit. Can you let us know how you met your wife?
Yeah. Basketball. It's funny.
Go figure, right?
And LSUS. It is the funniest story. So in my freshman year, I'm playing and got an opportunity to start and get inside the lines. Well, they had a senior high school night, like a recruiting night. And so they come out to the game, and it is now my mother and father-in-law and now my wife. But she was a student at Byrd High School. And they came out because her older brother, Chris, is a senior at Byrd. And they're looking at where he may go play basketball. And so they're there, and it's our homecoming night at LSUS with no football team. They rallied the homecoming around the basketball team. And wouldn't you know, that night, a young guy that was another player from the opposing team, he elbowed me in my eye. And,
no, he didn't.
And you know, I'm really not a fighter. I mean, I can start one. You know, I can start one, and have plenty of friends. Or I could have started one back in the day with my mouth and my cockiness or whatever it may be. But when you get elbowed in the eye, you just react. And so I reacted, and right there in front of them, that was their first time. The parents had seen me play at Southwood and did not like me. The Southwood-Byrd basketball rivalry ran deep. And my in-laws were as purple and gold Byrd as you could ever be if you cut them. Well, you know them, Andy, and so as much as you would see green and gold now in my in-laws, if you'd have cut them back in the day, no doubt purple and gold would have came out from Byrd Yellow Jackets. So they didn't like me because I was a kid at Southwood that had beaten Byrd several times. Well, then I proceeded to get in a fight, an all-out bench-clearing fight that looked like I started, and they were there visiting, and wouldn't you know, about a year and a half later, Chris came to play there. I would go after practices to Chris to watch film, play pool, whatever, and then his pretty little sister would come home from school, and so I started telling him, I said, man, she's pretty. I think I'm gonna
Everything
talk to
a
her.
brother wants to hear,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And he told me, and he knew me, and he was like, man, shut up, McDowell. That's what he'd say, shut up, McDowell. And then finally I told him, I'm gonna marry her one day. He said, I'll be doggone. I'm not gonna let that happen.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
he's
goodness.
still eating those words.
Yeah.
That's such a good story. I love it. I love that. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your career coaching high school? Just a little recap there.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, to get the opportunity, again, not to go too far into details, but I was an assistant girls basketball coach my first year out of college at 23 years of age. And we won a state championship. That was at Southwood with Steve McDowell, who is still, to this day, probably the best high school girls basketball coach, or one of them for sure, in this area and anywhere you could find. But at the end of the year, I knew my calling was not high school girls basketball. And so I hung it up, and he said, "Do you have a job?" I said, "I don't. I just know it's not going to be girls basketball at this time." And about a month later, living legend of a high school coach, Delbert Clinton, who was at Byrd, he resigned and took a college job. And I was mowing my parents' yard in the back. I think I was living at home. And they said, "Coach Carter's on the phone, wants to talk to you." And so I went there, and he asked me if I'd have any interest in being Byrd boys basketball coach. And I'd never been a head coach. I'd never done anything. You want to talk about people are watching, and you never know. And I've tried to tell young people this story, but it gets lost after you're 50 years of age. But Alan Carter was the athletics director and just was a football coach at Byrd with Mike Suggs, was taking over for him. But I was curious why they were asking a guy with 1 year of girls head coaching experience to come coach at that time the largest public school in the state, Byrd. And he just gave me a story, said that his daughters grew up playing YMCA basketball, and I did some refereeing. And he said, "I just watched the way you carried yourself at 18, 19, and 20 on Saturdays from 8 to 3 when you were calling YMCA basketball games, and when parents would get upset or a coach would get upset, and how you interacted with people." And I said, "I don't know what he does." And then he said, "When I found out that, I'd already known that you played basketball at Southwood, but then when I found out you were a girls assistant coach and someone mentioned that you were thinking about being a boys coach, I said, so he said that and gave me a recommendation. And in high school, what I didn't realize, I guess, is you're their transportation. You were Uber before Uber was cool.
Right.
You're their transportation in the mornings a lot of times. You could be their meals at night, and thankful for a dad who gave me every dollar he could give me but you're more than basketball at high school, but the opportunity to build those relationships. And I know I mentioned this being my first go around, so I can chase some rabbits, but I think that's what I miss a little bit in the coaching aspect is the daily contact with 15 kids versus the widespread, not as personable contact. But anyway, high school coaching just was fun. Anyway, I got the job at Byrd, was there for 4 years, great relationships, had a chance to go to my alma mater, Southwood, and teach PE, get out of the classroom that I was at Byrd. And I don't know, it's yes, coaching and basketball's the same, but it was neat just to form those relationships with 15 to 18-year-old guys trying to find their way and what they're going to do in life. And so high school coaching was one for the record books. It was great. And we had success at a high clip, so that always makes it fun.
Right.
We had some of the best teams to ever play in the city. I think we finished 1 year 37-3 or something like that. And you always want to try to win a state championship, never won one. So
what kind of, there's a transition for you for sure from high school, loving it, seeing success in it, into college. What did that season look like? Like, what made that transition take place?
Yeah. The athletic director at Southwood was Doug Robinson, the late Doug Robinson, who was like a father figure but also a brother figure to me. And he passed away this past year. But he had taken the job as athletics director at LSUS and been given the challenge to revamp the men's and women's basketball program. And so I was coaching for him at Southwood. He's the one that snatched me up from Byrd High School and asked me to come over to Southwood for that. And so now he was asking me to come out there and revamp that program. And I thought, not many high school coaches get an opportunity to make the step up to to the college ranks, no matter what that looked like.
Right.
It was not a very well-funded program. It was not set up to be successful, but that's in the eye of the beholder. If you roll your sleeves up and do the best you can. And so anyway, the athletic council, they interviewed a bunch of candidates and thought I may be the best fit to bring the program back. I mean, the place I graduated from, I'd extended my education by 18 hours and mild, moderate special education. I'd spent a lot of time out there. So why not
Right.
go back there and coach the basketball team that I played for and see if we can't make some noise. And we did. And from 12 to 16, I was the athletics director, and I wasn't coaching at that time.
So you stepped down from the coaching at that
I did.
point,
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Doug Robinson was retiring and getting out, and he said that Dr. Marsala, the chancellor at that time, he and I want you to be the athletics director. And I said, may I keep coaching? Because in the NAIA small college world, that's not a foreign concept to have a coach and an athletic director at the same time. And but he said I couldn't. And so I had a tough decision to make. And he tried to say that it was going to be more time with family. He kind of knew what chord to strike with me because the basketball travel was a lot, multiple times to New Orleans and Jackson, Mississippi, and you name it. Florida, Missouri, we went everywhere, and it was a lot of time away from the family. My kids, that was 2012.
They were young, I guess, at that point.
Yeah. So that was 11 years ago. So they were young and still had the best years ahead of us. I thought about it, prayed about it, and decided to step into just the AD role at that time. So. Did
you enjoy that step, or did you miss the coaching more than you enjoyed the?
Yeah. I think I missed the coaching. If you just wanted to be honest with me, it's when it's in your blood, man. Right. It's just in your blood, and you can never get away from it. It was rewarding on the family aspects, and had I not gone to LSUS to play basketball when I really didn't want to, wanted to go somewhere else, who knows if LSUS community wouldn't have given me the edge of becoming their next basketball coach and revamping the program. Had I not stepped out of coaching, would I have gotten my master's degree in educational leadership? Because I didn't have the time to do it. That's when I did it, between 12 and 16, as a commitment to my dad before he passed away to finish that. I had 2 commitments to him. The step, did I miss coaching? Like crazy. Yeah. Like crazy. The competitiveness and the game management and the relationships with the guys, I missed it like crazy. And the whole time not knowing that the Lord was preparing me for a different season. And
do you think that's where the shift made sense to you? And was it 2016? Yeah. From high school basketball coach to then college basketball coach, athletic director, and then Calvary calls.
Yeah.
And,
it started to come together for sure.
Yeah.
That it's a different season. My kids were attending Calvary at that time. My wife was a teacher. She had left the world. I mean, a couple funny stories. Just the LSUS coaching ranks is, I mentioned some success. We won at a high clip. It was, I think, in 2005, that early, that we became number 1 team ranked in the country. And I remember that ranking coming out. I just thought of my wife, and we were talking about success. And I kid you not, I mean, we were on cloud 9. All 10 of us that care, And I remember calling her, and she was so excited for us. And I said, the number 1 ranked team in the country, babe. We're, this, that, and the other. And so I go home, and I'm still on cloud 9. This is like 4 hours later. This happened, y'all. I go in, I say, babe, we're number 1 in the country. She goes, I know, that's great. Hey, I need some milk. That's what she said. I said, we need some milk. She said, yeah, go to the store and get some milk. And in that Kroger parking lot on Uri Drive and East 70th, in that parking lot, the Lord spoke to me then also and said, man, if you will be as excited about being the number 1 ranked husband and the number 1 ranked dad as you are basketball coach, then you're going to be all right, and you're going to make a difference. It was a moment I needed, because a lot of our success was yet to come. I mean, we went on to bigger and better heights, but I need some milk. I mean, that's great, babe. I need some milk. It's just put some things in perspective. And then the transition began to make sense in 2016 when they called. I still was like, man, but I'd gotten comfortable, and if you're not careful, you step out of what is a passion of yours, coaching and leadership, I guess. You enjoy coaching or getting a team and revolving, building up a community and culture, building a culture of excellence in whatever you're doing. So when you become an athletic director at a small college that doesn't have a lot of teams, you can feel like, what am I doing? Right. I mean, I'm at Sam's, no, this is small college athletics. I'm at Sam's buying nacho chips and nacho cheese the day of a basketball game. And I'm going, nothing wrong with that. Right. I'll do whatever it takes. But I'm like, there's more, isn't there? Yeah. I mean, don't waste away, McDowell, and right. So when they called me, I was shocked, that they said, would you be willing to come meet with us? There's a physician that was on the board, and they had an office over at Willis Knighton, and we started to meet and talk about it, and enrollment was on the decline.
Love to hear a little bit about that. Just the kind of, you brought it, there was some struggle happening and transitioning happening at the church and school at that time, and here you come in. I mean, you already rebuilt at a basketball program, so I guess even for you, there's that rebuilding mindset. So what did that look like from a...
Well, enrollment was on the decline. They had brought back their high school and had better moments and really were doing good and thriving. But I don't know all the key elements to why enrollment was on the decline, but I live in the same Shreveport-Bossier community as all of us, and so public perception had begun to slip and was not as favorable as needed. Anytime you have success in athletics, everybody automatically assumes, without ever stepping foot in the building or knowing anybody over there, that it's a subpar education, or they're hiding behind the cross, that they're really not about the mission that they say they are. And that had begun to make its way about Calvary. And there may be people, I still find to this day, we give tours all the time. I don't know if it eludes itself, but the demise of public school. I'm a public school product. I'm a fan. I feel like, they simply are not what they used to be.
Right.
And when you say the community perception, it's the community that you're interacting with. Well, when I started there, it was about 600. It had slipped down to about 615, 625 students, and right now we sit right at 950 or 975. So it was a tough challenge. I mean, it was, but they mentioned, would you be interested in taking over the whole campus and kind of developing a winning culture and more than just football and more than athletics? And that's all I told them. Is I said, I think y'all are crazy hiring somebody that doesn't have one day of school administration experience.
Yeah.
I just told them what I will do is give you my best effort every single day. And that's what I try to talk to the players about, all of us that are around in the studio right now. We got control of two things every single day. That's our attitude and our effort. Those two things, control the controllables and let everything else fall where it falls. And so I told them, I really believe that we can build a team. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do this by myself, nor would you want me to. I kind of took the mantra when they talked to me about the decline in enrollment, public perception, some gaps that needed to be addressed, and some tough things, some expectations I don't think were where they needed to be, nor the accountability, the consistent accountability measures, and everybody being on the same page, working for the same goal. And I just told them, I said, my focus is going to be quality over quantity. Yeah. I'm not going to focus on the numbers. If enrollment's 615, then I want 615 to be the best quality product academically, spiritually, athletically. And that's the other thing I told them is I'm not coming to not win athletically. So people may say, well, man, they must be good academically now because they got rid of all athletic. No, we're winning at everything. Just an attention to detail and winning in all aspects. It's a I don't know, 28-hour day, and it doesn't slow down. It doesn't slow down. But I tell them, we're not a perfect place by any imagination. That our kids at Calvary, they say, think, watch, and sing, listen to the same music as the kids at Southwood, Evangel, Providence, Bird, you name it. They're all 15. But from 8 to 3, while they're in the school hours, it's going to be a place of respect, and I have 5 core values I could talk to you all afternoon about, champions of character.
Right.
But anyway, quality over quantity is what I told them. And I said, and the reason why is because well, first of all, quality will drive quantity.
Yeah.
You put the quality product there, and the people will come. The infrastructure was there.
Yeah.
And some key people that had given their life to that place and done good. And, it's crazy to me to learn how, you're only as good as your last decision. You're only as good as your last thing, because there was a lot of great people. Rhonda Honey comes to mind, but Angela May comes to mind. There's so many people that built that place and gave so much to get it where it was, even years before the high school went away and came back.
Yeah.
And so there was key people in place. It's just kind of rallying the troops and, again, coaching, getting the right people on the bus, and the people that don't belong on that bus, removing them.
Right.
And then once you have the right people on the bus, it's figuring out what seat they're supposed to be in.
So really, it's gone for you from coaching to now you're still coaching.
No doubt about
it. Man, what a incredible journey to walk us through. What we'd like to do, just to kind of wrap us up, just to do some rapid fire, quick things at you. So just give us your quick responses. Brinly, if you want to kick us off, maybe just some questions. We'll go back and forth with you and get kind of a quick response from you.
All right, here we go. Or what was the biggest struggle you faced?
I still face it. The fact that you're going to disappoint people. Disappointment. Just the word disappointment.
Yeah. What was the greatest lesson you think that you've learned in the journey?
Pray about and lead with conviction and confidence, and not let your greatest struggle overcome your leadership. And that is, you're going to disappoint people.
That's good.
That's so good. I like this question. What has your wife taught you the most in the journey?
Yeah, be you. Be you. Now, oftentimes in leadership, you see strengths of other leaders, but and you try to be them, and it just doesn't work. Be you.
Well, what about the biggest key to your success? What would you say that's been?
Mindset. I love to compete. I told you that, and I want to win. So first and foremost, no doubt, the Lord, that He allows me to do that. But just the mindset that I truly want to be the best, and I want to be better tomorrow.
That's good.
For people.
Right.
It's so good. When you think about vision, what's next for Calvary? What's next for Chad?
Well, I get that. I get the second question periodically, but the Calvary, it's tough. I think Willie Mays said it's not hard to be great from time to time. It's hard to be great every day. And so for Calvary, by no stretch of the imagination have we arrived, and we are hitting on all cylinders in every category. But we are at a great place right now. And so maintaining can be difficult. And so what's next for Calvary is that we maintain the excellent product that we are at right now, and to continue building champions of character. That's in competition in the classroom and in the community. And so that's what's next for Calvary. I think we're at a good place. I think you can get too large. And so I think our enrollment's at a healthy place to maintain that relationships and family atmosphere. So that's what's next for Calvary. What's next for Chad? I don't see anything in the horizon right now. And so I'll leave here and just try to find new ways to love people, and new creative ways to love people, and hopefully have an impact in their life, and just serve them well. That's what it is, until the Lord if he has something else for this 50-year-old man, then we'll pray about those things too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, man, your story has been a blessing to us, and I imagine to even to our listeners as well. Just walking through your journey, and it's definitely been a journey where you've seen and experienced a lot of success.
Yes.
By the hands of your own hard effort and work, by the Lord blessing you, and then by the people that you've surrounded yourself with. So we appreciate your story today for sure. So, man, appreciate you joining us.
It's been fun.
Well, we want to give a special thank you to our sponsors, B-Lane Printed Apparel, Ridge Lane Publishing, and Calvary Baptist Academy.
Hey there, listeners. Typically, we take about 15 minutes or so with our guests and have a special time just for our Patreon members. And today we're going to give you a sneak peek of that conversation, let you have a little insider of what being a Patreon member looks like. So you're going to get to hear that discussion that we had with Chad right now. All right, welcome to our Patreon members. For a little behind the scenes, we just finished up episode 2 with Chad McDowell joining us today. So, man, great job and on the podcast. What we like to do here for our Patreon members is a little bit deeper dive into some discussion. Now, to mix this up a little bit, we actually don't come up with a topic. We kick it over to our team back here behind the scenes. And so I've asked Stephen Posey, our technical director, to give us a little something to chat about. So I have no idea what might be coming right here, but I told him he had to stay on topic with what we discuss. But he's now seen that you have a skill spinning basketball, so who knows what's coming our way. Right. So, Stephen, what you got for us to discuss a little bit today?
So we're talking about vision today, and so as we're talking about vision, there's not always good vision. There's bad vision. And so I guess what would be the way, if you are a leader or you're speaking to someone, how do you know your vision is bad, or how do you identify bad vision if you're under leadership that is showing bad or has bad vision?
Okay. Yeah, so,
That's good.
Yeah, we probably all served under leaders who are very challenging. They have a vision, but you're like, I don't know that that's where I want to go, because ultimately vision's painting that picture of where we head. And so I guess, Stephen, probably just to clarify this, you're talking kind of unhealthy versus healthy vision. Yeah. What's the differences?
Healthy vision, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I like to just throw it. So I'm going to throw it at Brinly first here.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to kick it at Brinly
I thought Chad had all the answers here. I just got to sit here and listen to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. But before we jump to Chad, I'm going to throw it to you here. When it comes to healthy and unhealthy, how would you kind of describe the differences between healthy and unhealthy?
Oh, my goodness. No time to process. Okay.
That's right. Jumping in.
Oh, man. I would say, I had a teacher, and I can't say it as well as he said it, but, are you giving the people, if you're a tree, are you giving the people around you good fruit or bad fruit? Like, you should be producing in a way that the people around you can enjoy and be healthy as well. So if the people around you or the people that are following you aren't looking healthy, then there might be something wrong with the way that you're leading them.
Oh, that's good. I like that. What do you think? Healthy versus unhealthy?
Well, I think I know numbers can be skewed, but they don't lie. Results don't lie, and so I think that with good fruit, it'll show itself, and
it will produce.
It will produce. Yeah. And so I know we visited on the first segment, the non-Patreon member segment, about quality over quantity.
Yeah.
But in the line of work that I'm in, if you're in coaching, it's not all defined by wins and losses, but the product is going to have a good record. I mean, very few people are asked to come speak at an athletic banquet or a leadership banquet who are 5-25 on the coaching side of things.
Right.
Well, likewise at your school, quality over quantity, but quality will drive quantity. So if people are not actively looking into your product, and the morale is down, you have a lot of turnover and not a lot of smiling on campus and stuff like that, then I think what you mentioned is good. Is a strong asset of a leader is to first look at themselves and be willing to say, let me make sure I'm doing everything I can before I start pointing them fingers. And I just think that results do matter, and they'll tell you a little bit about your vision. They'll tell you a little bit about your leadership style.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, you know, I tell people a lot when it comes to casting vision, leading people, that it's really easy for us to get very focused in our own worlds of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And when we have a bad season, using the
Absolutely.
coaching reference, we define ourselves by the season, when I don't think that's the reality. Is a coach isn't defined by their season. They're defined by what they do with a bad season.
That's right.
And what their career looks like. Every coach has a bad season.
That's right.
You can't predict everything. Same thing in success. As we're talking about success on this podcast,
That's right.
just because you walk through a difficult season, that season doesn't define you.
That's right.
But if you stay in that, it's what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think we've all probably been a part of different seasons of life where we've served under somebody who maybe their vision wasn't healthy. It wasn't focused on other people. So let's talk a little bit about healthy vision. So I think we can all wrap our minds around what unhealth looks like.
Yeah.
You know, because we probably all serve people who are mean, cruel, you know, demeaning. So what does it look like? Because on this podcast, it's all about success. So, and we call it uncommon success, Chad, because we're very uncommon, and that's why we invited you.
Thank you.
'Cause we
Thank
knew-
you. I kicked the whole thing off as far as guests. I know
Yeah.
y'all had a podcast last time. I mean,
but yeah.
I'm as uncommon as you get.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's we've discovered that really success is very uncommon.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot of it's because it's hard work, but it's also because to have a healthy vision is not easy to do. So let's talk about what health looks like. What would you say would be a healthy vision? What would that entail? What do you think? Either one of you, if you got something, you can throw it in there.
Well, if you,
No, you got it. I was about to say.
I don't have the
We're here
answers.
for the
What
answers.
works for me is to have some core values yourself that you
Yeah.
live by and that you strive to carry out each and every day. And so those go way back to my LSUS coaching days. I briefly mentioned, we didn't dive into it in the other segment, but it's just becoming a champion of character and trying to live out the core values of respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, servant leadership, and integrity. So that for me, those 5 things, I mean, like you say, we could do 5 more podcasts on each
Right.
one of those core values. But healthy vision to me is living those things out before your people and or before, you know, not your people, but your team and well, your people, and trying to, you know, get them to do the same.
Yeah.
And so just, I think it's just words into action. Healthy vision and healthy leadership and success comes from being intentional about what you're doing each and every day. And
Yeah.
so, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it
So good.
makes room for other people. You
That's
know?
right.
Healthy vision gives space for everyone else who's on the team that they can jump in, be on board, be part of it. Their own purpose is fulfilled inside of that. You know, without it, like, you know, if it's just where I'm going, I'm going to look up and, hey, man, I just took a walk and nobody's following me.
It's unbelievable what you
Yeah.
what you said there, and not to cut you off,
No,
but
yeah.
in leadership and for things to be successful, I mean, people, I think they probably get tired of me talking about how many behind the scenes people, you know, I mean, Calvary it's having great days right now, but nobody really knows her name, I guess, but Catherine Groven, Kevin Guerrero, Tiffany Toops, Gretchen Larry, and then you just go down the teachers, Kelly Wise, Tony Hobson. We talked about frontliners and stuff, but
Yeah.
when you say making room for people, you better, you know,
Yeah.
you better have as little room as possible for yourself,
Yeah.
because I understand it rises and falls on leadership, and you know you got to take the bad with the good, but oftentimes when things are going good, you mentioned not being defined by the moment or the bad season. You also have to be careful to not be defined by the successful days as well, and to think
Right.
that you've arrived, because you're only as good as your last day, and what can you do today to be better and than you were yesterday? And so without those people, I like that, making room for people, and the moment it becomes about you it's over.
Yeah, that's where
It's
it
over.
shifts to being unhealthy.
It
You know,
is.
you could even, I think, have a healthy vision that's leading people in the right. But if you're unhealthy as a leader,
That's it.
because you're wanting all the credit and
You
all the
are.
glory, man, you're creating chaos.
It
and so
is.
that vision becomes unhealthy because you're unhealthy as a leader.
And I think that's where you have to be intentional, and people know sincerity. They just know it.
Yeah.
And so, what I was getting at is we're having great days, and therefore in the world of social media, Chad McDowell's name, whether it was delivering donuts or spinning a basketball, you're gonna get this praise. You're gonna get it, and we're human. And so that does feel good.
Yeah.
But you better keep that in the right place and know that it's not about you. We are not where we are at Calvary today without the absolute best teachers and administrators, period. I can deliver 100 dozens of donuts and spin 1,000 basketballs, and may have.
Right.
But without the others, the team, then it doesn't happen. And I mean it without, so anyway.
I love that language of we.
That's
that when you're talking about, your leadership, I feel like we can just tell that it's about the team. It's not, hey, I've done this, it's we've done this. And when your vision makes room for that, for other people, and you're watching other people succeed and you're passing that on, we indirectly succeed. And the vision's healthy, and you indirectly reap the benefit of the health of the people you're pouring into.
Yeah.
I think that what we've watched over the years at Calvary under your leadership has been you lifting up other people. And it's obvious, because as it's growing and it's seeing great days, it's not because of Chad McDowell, but it's because of Chad McDowell saying, hey, I'm in this position, and I'm going to lead, and I'm going to give away the credit and honor other people along the way. So for you, what kind of set the stage for you in that? That being an athlete, I know, athletes ourselves, that when you're an athlete, it's easy to kind of draw the attention to yourself.
It is.
Where did that shift for you? Was it someone that you have a mentor that modeled that? Like, what did that look like for you?
Well, just different leaders, and through life, and then also coaches and leaders. And I gave my heart and life to Christ at age 21, and I think even before then, that it really wasn't about me, but what high school and college people don't kind of think. Oftentimes I tell them, if we could have taken the high school version of Chad McDowell, of what he thought about himself, bought him for what he's worth, and sold him for what he thought he was worth, he'd be a millionaire, But that transformation, but also Dale Brown, the longtime coach at LSU, I remember hearing him say, the greater power of me is we. You just turn that M upside down. We've all heard that. And it's just been something that I've always had. I introduced all of my basketball teams every single year. The first statement I gave to them is, there's no one person bigger than the program. And I tried to carry that to Calvary, in saying that there's no one person bigger than the organization, than the school, than the program. And if Chad McDowell, if they find him to be a man that lacks integrity and he's made some poor decisions, and they get rid of him. I used to do this as coaching with my leading scorer. But if they find that out to be true, do you know what happens Monday morning at 8 o'clock? The bell rings. It goes on. The show goes on. So no one person, you got to lead with that mindset and really embrace it. It doesn't mean that you're not appreciated.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we don't need you, because we do. But every teacher, every big-time student athlete in today's world of the NIL, and things aren't going my way, I'm out, peace out, I'm gonna go to that next person. I don't know where it triggered, but from the depths of my heart, I can't even give the amount of gratitude, or express the amount of gratitude that I'd like to express to everybody that was before Chad McDowell was the superintendent at Calvary, and everybody that's been there during this time, because seriously, things have changed since Chad. Yes, it feels good. I'm not trying to, that feels good.
Right.
And sometimes that can be that little shot in the arm that you do need. We're all human, we're all human, and we need that encouragement. But, you know, you just got to be extremely grounded
Yeah.
and realize that you say no one person bigger than the program, and you always start with yourself. Just remind yourself that every day, and just
That's
keep
good.
trying to make a difference.
So for kind of a wrap up for all of us, maybe just one piece of advice from each one of us here, that when it comes to healthy versus unhealthy, what would you give as a piece of advice for you to be a leader who has healthy vision? What do you think?
Man, I've been dominating the conversation. Now I want to be third.
So good.
Why don't you start? I'll go and then let Chad finish this out.
A couple of things really stick out. How you talked about your successes. Like, you can't have your identity tied to your successes, because then it's tied to your failures. And then you also talked about the team, because a leader is really someone, what leadership to me is seeing those around you rise up, to see them be their best, to invest in them and equip them to be the best that they can be. And so it's really about those others. And that, I think, a mix of a lot of those things are what helps create a healthy vision and healthy culture.
Yeah, it's good. I would say in a similar mindset that it would have to be that it's all about the team. That if it's focused on you, then it'll be all about you in the end, and it'll be just you in the end. But if you make it about other people, then I would say then good fruit follows good health. So if you want to produce good fruit, then you focus on building good health, which means it's not about you anyway.
Yeah, that's
What do you
good.
think?
Those two things.
Yeah.
Those two things,
Yeah.
and just each day just serve.
Yeah.
Just serve.
Well, man, you model
great
that well.
stuff.
You do that
Yes.
well,
Thank
and we appreciate your time today. And best of luck in the next season.
Yes,
as you
sir.
guys are seeing some good days today, and we're hopeful to see the great
That's
days to
right.
come.
Well, we want to make sure that everyone is following us on all of our platforms, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also join us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Y'all make sure that y'all like, share, subscribe, and review, and please leave us comments.
Yeah, comments that'll help Brinly get through the day by telling her how great that I am, and how wonderful Chad did, and that way the next week she has to read those comments back to us.
Yes.
So, and thanks again, Chad, and we're excited about next week. We'll be discussing building resilience and grit. So join us next week as we jump into that.
Well, I'm excited. That's a wrap. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, and have a great week. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for being part of the Uncommon Success Podcast. Your commitment to growth fuels our passion. Special thanks to our executive producer, Jess Camp, and our technical director, Stephen Posey, for helping make this episode happen. Join us next week as we continue the journey towards uncommon success. Have a great week.